Good morning, mushrooms, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers, sisters, mothers, misters, and to all my cousins out there around the world. It's time to plug in and get this news train chugging. Kenosha protesters are defying another curfew. A curfew, much like your parents would give you when you're in high school, means that you have to be home and indoors after a certain point in time. Issuing or declaring or imposing upon the population a curfew saying you have to be home after this point in time. Well, the protesters are defying that. To defy something means to go against it in an open fashion. It's not like they're trying to sneak around and ninja. They're like thumbing their nose at it. Wow, I don't know where I came up with that idiom, but to thumb their nose at something means I don't care what you say, I'ma do what I'ma do. A second video of his shooting surfaces or has surfaced. It's up, it's out. Just like on the show we've had so many times, emerges and emerge coming up, coming into view from obscurity, from the unknown. In their little lockdown bubble, the NBA players have become more and more vocal about Black Lives Matter and protests and making their voices heard, trying to leverage their position as role models and somebody that people look up to. They are discussing boycotting the upcoming games. And as you know from the show and back some time ago, I gave you guys the story and the history of where this came from. It was a guy's name in Ireland. However, to boycott something is to stop paying, stop doing business with it as a form of protest against it. Because yeah, we can talk and talk and talk, but really, where does our power lie most of the time? In the bank with the money. And so yes, the best way to vote, always vote in elections, but often the best way to vote is with your wallet. Melania Trump offered a rare, not common, not something you see every day, because they downplay it, they play it off, they explain it away, they brush it off, they dismiss the whole COVID catastrophe as no big deal. Hey, you know, as in the words of the president, it is what it is. And so they don't normally admit it. This is very rare, if not the only occurrence. The White House admission in this case coming from the verb admit. Somebody said it is this, you can deny it, say no it isn't, or you can admit it and be like, you're right, yes it is. And so she admitted it was an admission of the COVID-19 tragedy, trying to use her to put some sort of softer, more human touch on the administration. However, if you've ever watched her speak, she seems far from human. Sorry, it's just my perception. She apparently also said we deserve total honesty, which is hilarious hypocrisy coming from somebody who's living with the Orange Monster in the White House. If you deserve something, it means because of the quality of your character or something that you've done, you should get something in return for that. You merit it. You deserve it. However, they probably deserve what's coming for them, hopefully, in the future. All right, whatever. Let's move on to some inadvertent, indirect Turkey news. NATO allies are facing off in the Eastern Mediterranean. And so to face off, just like you face a problem, you look at it, and you're not shying away from it, you're not backing down or backing away from it, you're facing it, you're confronting it. And so if we've got several people or parties involved, they are facing off. They are looking each other in the eyes, they're staring each other down, being, what? Yeah? What you gonna do about that? I dare you. I double dare you. Yes, it's going to, or it could, hypothetically speaking, entangle an entire region. And so they could all get caught up in it, much like a net or a bunch of rope. You don't know how you got in, you don't know how to get out, you can't find an escape, and so they are tangled. Think about that song, Tangled Up in You. You don't know how to get out of that relationship. Yeah? To be tangled up in something or to be entangled in something is mostly about drilling for natural gas, etc. Because, you know, energy, money, no. Sovereignty and national pride. Of course, that's what it's all about. Yeah. Moving on. Trump's WeChat ban could upset millions of users. Oh, surprise. Yeah, well, they love using it. So, of course, it's going to upset them if he bans the application and the service, whatever you want to call it. But there's another drawback, other than just being upset about things. But a drawback is a negative aspect. When we talk about things, we've got the ups and the downs. We got the pros and the cons. We got the fors and the againsts. We've got the benefits and the drawbacks. Now, if we break this down in a way to draw, aside from making pictures, as you know from the show, to draw also means pull. And so it's like, if there's a benefit, oh, this looks great, but then, oh, negative aspect, and it's pulling you back away from it. And so it's just a nice way to visualize what a drawback is. And in business, you hear about that, the benefits and the drawbacks. Yeah, when you're doing your cost-benefit analysis. All right, so moving on. Furor, unrest. Yeah, the public is upset about something, and it's apparently they're upset about some program on television. Amazingly, surprisingly, the first time we've ever seen this on the show, but we see unrest, upset, backlash, describe massive public discontent with an issue. But furor, for a TV show, that's gotta be a little bit too strong, but hey, you know, it's internet, they gotta sell advertising to stay alive. And so furor, public unrest and outcry against something. All right, moving on to some nice visual vocabulary. A major hurricane, and I think there's even two, but a major hurricane is barreling toward the U.S. Gulf Coast. Now, a barrel, like a barrel of oil, a large cylindrical container. I forget how many gallons or liters are inside a barrel of oil, but you also have barrels or kegs of beer or barrels of wine. It's a large cylindrical container which usually holds a liquid. Now, the easiest way to move them, instead of picking it up and carrying it, is to turn it on its side and roll it, yeah? And if it starts rolling, especially if there's a bit of a slope, it can start rolling uncontrollably, and it can pick up or gain momentum. It can accelerate, and if it's barreling towards something, much like a barrel rolling down a ramp, it's going to be really hard to stop, and it's scary, and you need to get out of the way if you can. Hence why so many people are evacuating the Gulf Coast. Ta-da! Visual, and appropriately visual aspect is because the barrel is rolling. And when it's rolling, if you turn it this way, oh, look at that. It's turning like a hurricane, like a cyclone, because the winds spin in a circle. Kudos to you, writers. A verdict is an official decision about something usually issued by a jury in the court or a judge. Guilty, innocent, yeah. But anytime they make a verdict, you have the right to appeal. And so it's like, okay, that's what you think, but let's hear about from this guy, because we have a different take on things. Let's see what he thinks. And so you're appealing to them for maybe a change of heart, a change of decision. Maybe somebody else overlooked some facts, didn't notice or pay attention to. Recycled vocabulary. Brawl verdict. And so they made a decision that he was brawling. And to brawl, it's a very violent fight, as I said, like in a bar when people are grabbing the chairs and pool cues and nobody knows who's on whose side, smashing glasses. And yeah, it makes for good television, but should not. Don't get involved in brawls. They're dangerous. Easy one, a countdown or to count down to some other event, because we start with high numbers and the numbers go down towards zero. But the point being, we have a record or to record. Yeah, different stress on syllables. Often we have nouns and verbs that both have two syllables, same spelling. However, as the noun, we put the stress on the first syllable, a record, and as a verb, we put it on the second syllable, to record. Pokes fun at the RNC night, part 2. Poke, poke, poke implies taking a finger and touching somebody. Now, you could tap. That implies going from above down, often tap somebody on the shoulder. Excuse me, sir, do you know what time it is? But to poke somebody, if you want to know the time, don't poke don't poke anybody, ever. It's rude. Use your words. Yeah, but to poke fun at somebody means to tease them or to make fun of. It implies in a playful sort of way. I don't think it was so light-hearted as they would like you to believe. He wasn't just poking fun, he was tearing them up. Haven't seen the video. I'm just assuming. Interesting constructions that might not be obvious or apparent to you. You implicitly understand them, but you can't explicitly use them. So I try to point them out and identify for you, and in hopes that you can take them away, put them in your pocket, regurgitate them, and employ them for your own personal betterment. Move on. Simple little dependent preposition here, to argue with. I have contention with, because with, when you're arguing against somebody else. Yeah, however, you're trying to win, so you're against each other. They're going this way, you're going this way. However, it takes two to tango, as they say, and so technically, you're arguing together. You're arguing with somebody. Congratulations to them. Let's move on. Bacteria from Earth can survive in space and could not endear. I hope I am endearing, and somehow or another this broadcast is enduring. I hope you can endure. Duration, about how long something takes, and so can it take it? Can it last? Can it survive the trip? And so hopefully you are enduring. And thank you for saying that I am endearing. I do appreciate that. Some golfer was on a downward spiral. Just like when you flush the toilet, it goes, and as the spiral gets tighter and tighter, the circles become tighter and tighter, more and more concentric. It accelerates and you go down. If you're on a downward spiral, eventually you'll hit rock bottom. Yesterday's broadcast. And that's the worst place you can be. He was on a downward spiral, but he never actually managed to hit rock bottom. However, during the time he mulled opening a pizzeria, he was thinking about it long and thinking about it hard. To mull something, and often mull something over, because it means like over and over again, you're thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it. Oh, I don't know, should I do it, shouldn't I do it? I don't know. It takes time to create mulled wine. And so if you're mulling something or mulling it over, it means you're thinking about it for a long period of time. We had defied up above to go against the rules, the regulations, or in this case, the probability, the odds. Yeah, it was 12,000 to 1. So mathematically, the chance of 1 or 12,000 opportunity. It was a very low probability, and so he went against the odds and managed to pull it off. He succeeded in hitting a hole-in-one. To bet on something. I like to bet on horses. I've won a lot of money betting on horses because if you know how to play the odds or the percentages, then you know, oh, I just killed a mosquito. I'm just kidding. I've been to the horse track twice as a kid. To put your money on something saying that it will happen. Scientists say they've figured out the odds or probability of catching COVID on an airplane. Well, there's a lot of factors involved to figure out the odds, and if you think about it, figures, well, I can't block the D. Figures are numbers. And so if you figure it out, it's like you're doing the math to then calculate the odds or probability of something. That's where figure out comes from. It's not about shapes. It's about doing the calculations and mathematical, numerical figures. Ta-da! Psh, mind blown. Let's move on to naked people. We've got nudes. Those are naked people. We've got prudes, coming from French, and it means like worthy. But in this case, a prude in English is somebody who is very quickly and easily offended by anything dealing with nudity or something sexual in nature. And so they're creating polar opposites. We got the nudes, the people who are open about their nudity. We've got the prudes, the people who are easily offended by that. And then we've got the swingers, which are people who like to swap partners and husbands and wives or whatever you want to call it. And so, yeah, the prudes are offended by the nudity and the sexual promiscuity. A famous resort is adapting to the pandemic era. Difficult for COVID, but dependent preposition is easy. To adapt to something. Even if they are nudes or nudists or naturalists in a different way, if you like to say it. The naturalists, they're having to adapt to wearing a mask. Yeah, again, that's the dependent preposition of to followed by a gerund, the ing, to adapt to being not in a classroom, but in some weird studio on a tiny little screen. That's something I'm adapting to doing. And yeah, let's move on. If something is haunted, it's like a spirit. The person has died, but their ghost is still here going, ooh. you, and you can't get rid of it. Just like thoughts or memories from your past, they might come back into your head and haunt you. You can't get rid of those memories, just like you can't get rid of some of the spirits. But it implies some negativity, but it's also some typical Halloween fun. Haunted houses in a vacuum. Now, I could have my vacuum cleaner here. We're not talking about that, but it's a vacuum cleaner, meaning that it sucks. It pulls air and then it moves dust and particles. But a vacuum means that all of the air has been sucked out. Therefore, there's no more molecules and there's no more other things to affect what else might go on. Like if you drop a feather in a vacuum, it will fall the same speed as a marble or a pencil or whatever, because there's no air resistance to interfere with it. And so by saying something happened or didn't happen in a vacuum means that, yeah, there's other factors in play. It wasn't a completely objective environment. There was lots of stuff going on. Trailblazing. We've had trailblazers on the show before, like the Portland Trailblazers and Oregon Trail. They are the ones that go out in front and they cut down the trees and then they burn the trees. The fire is a blaze, creating then a trail for the people to follow after them. Yeah? And so they're the ones creating the trail. They're the pioneers. They are the innovators. They are at the cutting edge, breaking through those limitations of society and making it easier for other people to make progress after them, because they're doing all that hard work, cutting down the trees, lighting the fires, etc. But so these are the people who made it easier for those who follow them. And so these women are the ones who are doing it now. They're doing the hard work now, and they're blazing the trail. They're innovating. They are doing the hard work so the people who come after them can have it a bit easier and or then forge further ahead. All right. Pompey and Kushner, what are they up to? What are they doing? What's going on? And to be up to something, it means you're doing something. However, if you're up to something, it's a plot, it's a scheme, it's a scam, it's a ploy. It implies some sort of negativity or trickiness, some deviousness. What are you up to? Yeah, what are you up to? I'm suspicious. I'm going to keep an eye on you. He powerfully sticks up for Trump. And so, well, I'm at odds with him in that case. But to stick up for someone, to stand up for someone, just like if somebody's criticizing someone else and you're like, excuse me, you just stuck up your finger. And so, same sort of thing. You're like, whoa, 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 hold on. And then you stand in and you defend and or protect the other person. So he's defending or protecting Trump, misconstruing protesting athletes. To misconstrue. Now, of course, miss, the prefix, badly or incorrectly, right? But to construe, it means to interpret things. Like we've got construct, which is to put together things physically, maybe to create a building or a house. But to construe things, it's the same sort of idea in a figurative fashion about ideas. And so to misconstrue them is to paint a bad picture, to interpret the facts in a wrong way, and account all the line items of the numbers of your monies or whatever it is. To hold someone accountable is to compare their actions against the tally. Yeah, more recycled vocabulary there, but the official record of things, and hold them against that, so that way then you can call out their inconsistencies or deficiencies or outright dishonesties. Let's call them lies. Okay, that's it. Yeah, that's that. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you do like what we do, click the like, subscribe, follow, pass us along to friends, share the things. Bring more people in. They'll join you in the comments. It'll be more fun and rewarding for everyone. And so, that's it. If I don't see you sooner, 8 p.m. tomorrow. However, I think I'll do another crossword at 2 p.m. tomorrow. And so, well, if I don't see you sooner, 8 p.m. tomorrow, bye-bye. See you guys.